Alright, what's up yins guys? Time for another video where I talk about the real life Yu-Gi-Oh card games people play. And if you tuned in this video and didn't see the other videos yet, I sarcastically ask, oh, does anybody play Yu-Gi-Oh the card game anymore? But any of you guys actually tuned in, didn't see any of the videos, I sarcastically talk about real life games people play and compare it to Yu-Gi-Oh, the cards people play, the bullshit people pull on each other, or what people pull on you and me. But anyway, without further ado, one of my favorite ones. This reminds you of a lot of people. This card I'm going to talk about is called the Hypochondriac Victim Bully card. I like to actually find a simpler name for it, but this is a game played like ever since any of us were in school, when we're younger and in school. You might have your, maybe whether you were in school or you're older and working, this can be your person you went to school with or college with, ex-girlfriend, or your buddy you worked with's ex-wife plays shit like this, or maybe your best friend's mother was one of these people. I don't know if you watch TV shows like Mad TV or any kind of parody, or so any YouTube parodies, or Saturday Night Live may have made a similar. It's like you'd want to make skits similar to this to depict this on YouTube or something. But all right, like I said, the your buddy's ex-wife, for example, they're like bullies, and what they do is that they're always perpetually sick, and or else perpetually have some kind of. They treat people like shit. They pick fights with people. You could argue that they, even though they're not diagnosed officially as bipolar, but you can maybe be able to argue that they're bipolar. But some people will even use that card and say they're bipolar, say they're sick, say they're this or that. So people will excuse and put up with their way they treat people. And unlike the people out there that you might know out there that nobody likes, nobody cares about, people just stay the fuck away from them, right? They're just made fun of. These ones, unlike those people, you get the ones that are the biggest pain in the ass, and if you're at work, they are related to somebody, right? It could be a job ender, or if you're back in school, all these. They're the ones, unlike the ones that are regarded as low-lifes, they're idiots that everybody stays away from and everybody makes fun of, right? But the more dangerous ones, in a way, are the more pain in the ass. It'll try to turn your friends against you. The ones that have all these friends, they could be in a workplace or school. And I'm trying in my head not to be repetitive and laugh. There are certain scenarios where I'm in my head, I'm laughing on the floor because, and that affects my being able to talk about this. But I don't know, you guys might actually know of somebody like that, but what they do is treat people like any way they feel like it, right? And because they're related to so-and-so, or they know so-and-so, and you might be able to argue that most of them are females. You might be a woman watching this, and you might, that one that treats other women this way. Or if you're a guy, some guys do it, but if you're a guy and you've got this whole clique at a workplace you stay away from, they always have some, unlike the ones that are considered retards, idiots, like I said, that everybody stays away from and makes fun of and makes jokes about. You got the other kind, right, where they have all these friends because they know so-and-so and everybody coddling them. They're created, encouraged by victim culture, and some of them actually act like they're victims themselves, so they get away with this shit. And it seems like hard to get your head around, but like I said, it could be like your buddy's ex-wife or somebody you went to school with's ex-girlfriend. And I almost, unless you guys got different opinions, you mostly girls or women pull this. And the ones that have all these friends that are always coddling them, they're female friends. And if it's like a clique with mostly temperamental females, they have unlike the guy certain male bullies, they have the alpha of the group. The female clique will have, if they're like an alpha per se, they call all the shots, but they're considered like the darling of the group. But if you have a group that are of male that are actually feminine and somewhat gay, not that I'm bashing anybody or bringing that into it, if any of them are like gayish or like the maybe like the simps or the beta males, you got the alpha. Yeah, I wanted to joke about, I want to go on and on about this, but I'd use the YouTuber Awaken with JP, that hippie guy, the Awaken with JP YouTuber, that's what he calls himself. He makes fun of the beta male, and I would argue if it was a bunch of beta males and somewhat feminine or gayish that act like women, temperamental, you'd have the alpha of the beta males. The beta males will have an alpha. I know it could be confusing, but these women, right, they're like an alpha per se, but they're like the darling of the group because they're always, huggy, and they're always calling each other affectionate names. And the way they can picture in your head, like, if you unwittingly piss any of them off, or one, you get the one that wants to start fights with you, right? Just random argument, just pick an argument with you. They all turn against you, and they have, especially the female, they have these faces that they make at you. But then the older ones, it can be some of you guys' mother or grandmother. They got the older crowd, like the somewhat the middle-aged or old lady crowd, and they make these faces, scowl at people, or they act just like temperamental teenage girls, get pissed off at every little thing. Like, it's almost like they have all these friends, right? And the victim status, it's almost like they carry it. If it was a gun, they'd carry it, sport it like a gun on their hip, and they sport the fact that they have all these friends too, like a gun on their hip. You know what I mean? If having a bunch of friends and having the victim status, it would be like they would metaphorically be carrying two guns on their hip, and I can speak any way to you any way I want because I have all these friends, and just at the snap of the fingers, I'll make you, even if you don't argue with me or smart off to me, if you just give me a dirty look, or if you just turn around and in a cocky way and walk away from me, I can snap my fingers and I can get half of the school or half the workplace to make you look like a monster. You don't even have to argue back with me. That's how, for this shit to work, they would have to be, I don't know, politically maybe leftist, and they would have to be like, there's like, but it ain't revolving around politics. I wouldn't suggest it revolves around politics per se. It gets, if they were political, they'd be like a leftist and liberal, and always a victim, always triggered. So it kind of revolves around hypochondriacism and sickness. I mean, some of you might don't want to be repetitive, but somebody you know's mother, it could be anywhere, and I can argue there, unless you're notice a lot of those beta male types or whatever, I can argue that, but the ones that pull the hypochondriac victim bully card are the ones that they're mostly female, but they can be beta males that act feminine always, and they use their victim status to bully people. I mean, they can, some of them might have a legit sickness or whatever, but and others, they do the hypochondriac thing. They get attention because they're always perpetually sick, and they'll go right in front of their friends, right, and speak to you any way they feel like it, because their friends actually approve the behavior. It's actually approved by their behavior. It's actually approved by their friends, so they can arrogantly do it right in front of their friends, because that's the character. And you know what? These people surround themselves with the kind of people that approve of the shit, and they're usually so-and-so's relative. And it usually stems from they have to be related to somebody. Maybe somebody that enables them, a relative. It could be in a workplace. Other than that, you can be in some other crowd and people will just say, fuck you, get away from me, and you'll just be made fun of when you walk around in town. Which, if you're the one that's made fun of, and always, like when you walk around in town, that should discourage you from being that way, because everybody would make a joke out of you. But anymore, that doesn't happen so much as it is. But people coddle them now, you know what I mean? Oh, and to end this video too, before I forget, it's always a double standard. You notice with these people, you're not allowed to, if you wanted to, have a legitimate sick or be a victim too. And if you think in your head, not that you would do it, but you say it yourself, if that were me, oh, I wouldn't dare play the same card. Oh, yeah, I'm a victim of sick. I'm more of a victim to you. I'm more of a victim than you, just to be a comedian. Well, in observance, you may have seen some other person like that, right, get in an argument or start a fight with somebody else that's like that, and it becomes a dual victim statuses, and it doesn't always end very well. It ends like really stupid. I don't want to go on and on about it, but some of you guys might have, I don't want to tell any big stories, but I've seen it happen back when I was in school. I mean, those kind of people will tangle with each other verbally, and it's always a very retarded thing, but my point is, there's a special privilege. Sometimes maybe you or me couldn't get this status. We have to be related to somebody to be coddled like this or whatever. And we couldn't get away with this. If it was you and me, man, they'd never let us forget it. We'd be a big joke of the town. You know what I mean? That's what I'm getting at. They're not just like somebody that's related to somebody like that. They actually you have to be related to somebody somewhere, or to have that special privilege. Not everybody gets to have that special privilege. You or me will be an asshole for life. I mean, there's like, you could probably make a whole video on, well, you could watch a lot of other videos, like everything from Awaken with JP or other YouTubers that, I didn't want this video to be political per se, but if you look on like the leftist, the triggered type and the cringe type, that's all you need to know that as a reference for this. And we didn't have, before we had internet, back when I was in my 20s, I'm like a 50-year-old curmudgeon that might have lost the plot here, but before any of you guys watching this internet thing, a lot of us worked with people, went to school, and we dealt with people like this. We didn't have that thing called cringe. We didn't have, we had that people that we were aware of victim status, but the cringe thing, I guess it's a relatively new term, like maybe a couple years old. But we had other names for this shit before we had internet, and it was like really freaking crazy. I mean, but to talk about it, it's hard to get your head around. If you got through this video, you'd have to imagine yourself, excuse me, I almost had a hiccup there. I ate my supper too fast. Oh, but yeah, it's something to get your head around and understand this video. You'd want to do a YouTube parody, like maybe you had a relative, a mother, somebody's ex-wife, or some co-worker it's somebody in a clique that's like, because it's like when we were in school, people pulled this, but then it's another thing that grown-ass people still play these games. You know what I'm saying?